So good to be back at home at 20th and Blake, Coors Field, and it's not raining. Last time the Rockies were home, they dealt with weather issues. And this evening, they welcome in the Arizona Diamondbacks for a 3-game set. The Rockies dead even after 44 games. The Diamondbacks won 4 or 5 on their recent homestand. They're at 20 up and 25 down. And good evening, everybody. With Jeff Hewson, I'm Drew Goodman. The Rockies, along with the Milwaukee Brewers, have played the fewest home games in all of baseball. So truly, it is good to be back here. They're in the NL West over the next 12 games. And as we always say, particularly this time of year, time to make some hay.
Well, it is, because you're 7-8 so far against the National League West. The other thing about it, too, is the division is so jumbled up right now. There's only 5.5 games that separate the leaders from the bottom team. And when you're playing Arizona 6 times, LA Dodgers, San Francisco, anytime you play games within your own division, it really amounts to 2 games, because it's a game that if you lose, the game they pick up, and really a little separation there. So you need to make some hay here, because you're finally back at home. You got to unpack that suitcase and get a home-cooked meal, have a nice sleep in your own bed, and then you go right back out and stay within the division. It is a little time to start putting some distance between you and the other teams, though.
You would like to put a little distance between 500 and,
Sure.
And where you've been, because the Rockies seem to be teetering around that all season long, but the season is young. Well, for Arizona fans, they are scary good and scary bad. When they're at the plate, they can be scary good. When they're on the hill, they can be scary bad. More on that a little bit later. Let's talk about their offense.
Well, they have 6 guys that have over 20 RBIs, which leads the National League, and they can just throw up some monster numbers, score a ton of runs, a lot of them through the home run, double variety, but when they get a chance, they usually drive in some runs. That hasn't been the problem. The other part is their pitching. That's the one that really lets them down a little bit, but you cannot fall asleep on this offense, because they'll jump up there and they'll throw a big number at you. If they score over 5 runs a game, they're pretty good. If they score under 5 runs, they've only won 1 ball game.
Yeah, they've given up a bunch of runs this year. When we come back, we'll reintroduce you to somebody you haven't seen in a while, unless you've been hanging out in Colorado Springs. Chris Iannetta back in the fold. against Ian Kennedy. And back upstairs with Jeff Hewson, I'm Drew Goodman. So Chris Iannetta is back. It's good to see him. He really swung the bat well in Colorado Springs. When you look up grinder in baseball, there are a lot of people who fall under this category at the plate, but he's near the top of the list. Well,
and good for him. I mean, he went back down to Colorado Springs, did exactly what he needed to do. He didn't sit there and mope and say, oh, I should be up in the big leagues. He went out there, put up some numbers, and made the Rockies make a decision on what they were going to do with him. They had to bring him up after looking at those numbers.
Absolutely. 349 and the 21 RBIs in just 17 games played. He also had 7 doubles, so he was hitting rockets all over the ballpark. And we talked to him a little while ago.
It's something you never want to go through, but in the end, you hope that it works out for the best, and you hope that it's going to be beneficial. And like I said, it was good to get at bats under my belt. It was good to have. I think I have total 100 bats now, which is really good. I feel more comfortable, more feel better about things. So we'll see what happens.
On paper, it should be one of the top catching tandems in all of baseball. Miguel Olivo's been terrific, 8 home runs, plenty of RBIs, and Chris will slide in there, and the kind of damage he's capable of doing.
Yeah, well, we saw it. A couple of home runs, including a game winner here, and that's the good thing about it is now he's got his stroke back. It just only helps enforce how good this team can be with him on the bench and or playing.
Absolutely. Yolis Chacin will be throwing to Miguel Olivo tonight. And inside the National League West, he has been a bear. Rockies and Diamondbacks come on back to Coors Field with us. By E470. E470 is quick, easy, and available to anyone. Test drive it today. By the Ford Escape, so much fun, so little fuel. Ford Escape, drive one. And by Grainger, with over 900,000 products for the ones who get it done. Inside Coors Field, Rockies enjoyed an off day yesterday. They won their second road series of the season. They won 2 of 3 in San Diego in April, and they took 2 of 3 over the weekend against an improving Kansas City Royals team. And lo and behold, they broke out offensively against Zach Greinke. Go figure.
Yeah, and it beat Roy Oswalt, too, during that time. That's what makes baseball so special. On paper, it's not played. It's played between the white lines.
Absolutely. That's Kelly Johnson. He's had a terrific year with the bat. especially in terms of hitting the ball over the wall. He's got a dozen home runs, the former Atlanta Brave. Connor Jackson back healthy. He's in the 2-hole. Stephen Drew's a tough out. Justin Upton has really come on in May. He did that last year also. Adam LaRoche, Mark Reynolds, Chris Young having a good year after disappointing 09. Chris Snyder behind the plate hitting 8th, and then Ian Stewart's high school teammate, good buddy Ian Kennedy, is on the hill for the Diamondbacks. There is Yolis Chacin as we take a look at his scouting report.
Fastball 90 to 94, and that's the most important pitch of all because he needs to be able to work that, get ahead so he can get to those other curveball, slider, changeups that are so dominating. Part of the problem that he had was that he was falling behind the hitters in his last 2 outings, and he wasn't able to get to his secondary pitches.
Well, first pitch is brought to you as always by Domino's Pizza. Text keyword pizza followed by a space and your name to 95323 to receive your Domino's special offer and to be entered to win a pizza party for 15. One weekly winner will be chosen. And the first pitch is wide of the strike zone. And 2-0. Well, the Diamondback team, Jeff was talking about all of their great offensive numbers. The other thing they do is they see a lot of pitches. So if you don't throw them strikes, they will take the walk. And Chacin has had problems with this issue. He falls behind 3-0. Fastball command is key to just about any pitcher, but particularly with this young man.
Yeah, and that was part of the issue today going into the ball game, that he needed to be able to do that. And talking to Bob Apodaca just a little bit ago, he said, I'm really trying to simplify things a little bit for him just so he stays on plane and drive down towards the plate a little bit more.
And that's not how he wanted to start. A 5-pitch walk to Kelly Johnson. Here are the Rockies defensively. Seth Smith in left field. Dexter Fowler at center. Brad Hopp in right. Stewart, Tulowitzki, Barmes, and Helton in the infield with Olivo catching. Carlos Gonzalez has a bruised bone in his wrist. He is available to pinch hit. Says it's feeling better. They did x-rays. It's negative. So hopefully Card will be ready to go full time here in the next couple of days. But again, he is available later on. Here's Connor Jackson at the plate.
Yeah, for Carlos, they got a precautionary MRI on it. It came back completely clean. It was nice to hear Jim Tracy talk about that today because that's the last thing you want to see. He actually heard it on that slide in Houston. It just kept bothering him. They said, let's go make sure everything's okay.
He was in the original lineup on Sunday and then was scratched after taking batting practice, where he was telling me on the follow-through, he really, it barked a little bit at him.
Yeah, and what happens then, Drew, is you start to get into bad habits. You start to use a little bit more body and everything else, and your mechanics get out of whack. Next thing you know, you're in one of those slides that you can't figure out how to get out of.
And if you watched on Saturday, that's a strike also, 0-2 on Jackson. If you watched him on Saturday, Huey, I knew you had the weekend off. You were watching on television. You could tell the mechanics were out of whack.
Well, and that's why part of the reason he's 0 for his last 14 or 15, whatever it is, because that front shoulder was flying open a little bit. You were overcompensating, trying to use one hand more than the other, and it just wasn't a fluid swing.
Johnson not really a base stealer. Wow, that was close. I love that 0-2 pitch. One thing you hate to see, Huey, is an 0-2 pitch without a purpose, somewhere 5 miles from the strike zone.
But it was perfect in that it was low and away, but just enough where you almost got Connor Jackson to bite on it. Just a perfect location. It wasn't those misses where it's up into the zone. He can still put a good swing on it.
It remains 1-2 on Connor Jackson, who had valley fever last year, a very debilitating disease that took a long time for him to recover from. So 09 was just a lost campaign for Connor Jackson. Left fielder now, converted from first base, so he'll get some time there still. And that's pulled foul.
He's still kind of working his way back a little bit. His average is only 250 going into the ball game, but he missed a couple weeks with a hamstring strain. Now still trying to find his swing, but it's a guy that will see a lot of pitches, get on base. And part of the reason they moved him to left field to kind of take him off first base is he doesn't have that power stroke from first baseman.
A little bit in, 2-2. You can, even though he's a big, strong guy, you're describing him, you can hit him in that 2-hole because he doesn't strike out a lot.
No, and he'll hit the ball to right field too. If the runner takes off, he's able to stay inside the baseball, drive it to right field, and really just kind of spray the ball all around from line to line.
Sunday, while the Rockies were enjoying an 11-7 win in Kansas City, the Diamondbacks were on the wrong end of a 12-4 outcome at home against Toronto. It snapped a 4-game winning streak for the D-backs. 2-2 swung on, and the foul tip is held for the first out of the inning. Let's take a look at our Suzuki keys to the game. Huey, what do you have?
Well, first and foremost, you're rested and recharged. Won 3 out of the last 4 on the road trip. You had a yesterday off, full day off to do whatever you wanted to do. Kind of nice. And then which Chacin? Am I talking about the guy that pitched against the Nationals and the Cubs who gave up 9 earned runs, or the guy that pitched against San Francisco and L.A. who worked ahead of the hitters, had a lot of strikeouts, very few walks, and then it's never over? What's that mean? We talked about it a little bit in the open. If you can get to the D-backs bullpen, even if you're down, you got a chance to come back and win the ball game.
You watched Animal House over the weekend.
Yes, I did.
There's a strike on the outside corner to Stephen Drew, and I think I probably say this every time we see the Arizona Diamondbacks. For me, this kid has one of the prettiest swings in baseball, and it's a very consistent approach, whether it's a righty or a lefty, a hard tosser or a soft tosser.
Very simple too, and not a whole lot of movement. Just goes back with his hands a little bit, little leg kick, and that's it.
Will it hang in the air? Yep, Dexter will get over and make the catch. Stephen Drew is retired, 2 outs, and that'll bring up Justin Upton, a red hot Justin Upton. Let's take a look at our Excel Energy fun fact. Look at this, and of course there's not a lot of career experience for Chacin, but so far in a couple of starts and 5 other appearances against NLS teams who you play almost half your games against, an 0.48 ERA.
Yeah, I mean, that's not, and think about some of those games too. They were out on the road big time this year where he went 2-0. I had to, in my estimation, beat San Francisco after you lost the first couple games there, and they came back and gave you another solid performance against the Dodgers.
Upton takes a slider for a strike. Did you know the kiosk behind the rock pile is powered by 46 solar panels? Find out how you can use the sun's energy at responsiblebynature.com. 1 strike count on Upton. A miserable April, but he has been terrific in the month of May. He's too talented for his average to be around the Mendoza line as it was in April. Last year he hit 300. He made the All-Star team as a 21-year-old. He's scary good.
Well, he just has all the tools. We talk about 5-tool players. Justin Upton's one of those type of guys, and he is a lot of fun to watch, even as an opposing team, just because of his immense talent. He kind of did the same thing last year, got off to a slow start, and then rebounded and made the All-Star team, as you mentioned. You look for him to possibly do the same thing again this year.
Yeah, he's a handful. He's hit .415 over his last 10 ball games, and he can hit it out from foul pole to foul pole. Johnson at first. He takes off, and the throw from Oliva is not quite in time.
Great throw from Miguel. I had him at 1.84. Chacin was a little slow going to the plate. Kelly Johnson just took off and had a walking lead almost. You see that at second base more than you will at first base. The Hyundai Cam will show the tag from Clint Barmish right on his back, as that foot is just barely, yeah.
You know, the tag's high, and the umpire, the second base umpire, Sam Holbrook, was a little bit obscured. And I think sometimes when you see that tag above the waist, you were a base stealer, you always assume, well, the guy's in there.
Yeah, automatic, and that's what Sam was looking at. he saw the tag back up onto the numbers almost by his nameplate on the back. And whenever you see that, you just assume that that foot got in there before. 4 stolen base for Kelly Johnson. Miguel Olivo still second in all of baseball in caught stealing.
Not only has he helped control the running game, but if you venture too far off, he'll snap throw behind you. He's picked a couple guys off that way. Saw him end an inning by getting a guy at third on this recent road trip. Here's the 3-2 to Upton. Swung on and missed. Here's a beautiful changeup, and that ends the inning. A 20-pitch start for Chacin. He leaves Kelly Johnson at second. No scores. We go to the bottom of the first inning. Tonight is Text the Booth night. Text Booth followed by a space and then your question at 95323. We'll get to as many of your questions and thoughts as possible. It's brought to you by Office Liquidators and OfficeLiquidators.com. Colorado's largest selection and lowest prices of office furniture. Seth Smith will be the leadoff man in the absence of Carlos Gonzalez. Comes in with a .260 average and 5 home runs. The rest of the Southwest.com batting order is presented by Jim Tracy. Fowler, Helt, Tulowitzki is really swinging the bat well. An 8-game hitting streak. Brad Hopp, Miguel Olivo, Ian Stewart, Clint Barmas, and Chacin. Here's Ian Kennedy's first pitch, and it's up high, ball 1. Ian Kennedy went to La Quinta High School along with Ian Stewart and Cole Garner's hitting well over 300 for the Rockies in AAA. Adam LaRoche finds Kennedy, and Smith is retired.
Let's take a look at the scattering board for Ian Kinney, the 25-year-old out of the University of Southern California. Just an average fastball. Will get up to 93, but really sits about 89, 90 miles an hour. Change-up, curveball, slider. He is a strike thrower, though. Just 16 walks and 15 and a third innings. The change-up is really his best pitch, a pitch that he learned while playing for Coach Gillespie at USC. Figure out what happened here. Just
his glove may have broken.
Okay. All of a sudden I heard everybody call timeout. Everybody looking at everything. Yep.
Got to go to the number 2.
Go to the backup plan. Yeah, just ripped right in the webbing. So now he'll go ahead and give it to the trainer. They'll probably have it fixed in an inning or two. Go back to his number 1 glove. But in the meantime, go to the one you take ground balls with. Everything else.
Did you do that? You take your backup out for infield?
Yeah, that's the only time my game gloves was out there was when the game started. I mean, when the lights came on, that's when. And then after the game, it went right back up into the shelf, right in the protected area, locked up.
Well, most guys are like that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the tools of your trade. You don't go. Some guys will go out there more. I see more outfielders will go out there with their game gloves. Infielders, though, they have 2 separate gloves. One they'll take their ground balls pregame with. The other one just sees the national anthem after.
guys are a funny bunch.
I don't look at it as funny. I just look at it as
different.
We're normal.
I was trying to be kind. Dexter Fowler snapped an 0 for 23 slide with a base hit on Sunday. Takes high ball 1. The only player to have faced Kennedy in a major league game that counted is Melvin Mora. Of course, Kennedy came from the Yankees. That's in there for a strike. However, Kennedy did face the Rockies during spring training this year. Rockies shared Tucson for the final season.
And that helps with a guy that's coming over from the other league to be able to see him at least a little bit in spring training to see if the ball moves at all, if it's straight. For the most part, Ian Kennedy's fastball is pretty straight, but he'll work at both sides of the plate. He'll go to the changeup, he'll go to the curveball, and he really just kind of pitches to contact, but he tries to stay out of the middle of the plate.
And this is in the air to center field. Easy play from Chris Young. He keeps you off balance by changing speeds as we look at the gloves for Arizona. Connor Jackson, Chris Young, and Justin Upton in the outfield. Mark Reynolds at third has committed 5 errors. Steven Drews at short. He has just 3. Kelly Johnson and Adam LaRoche on the right side. And Chris Snyder's behind the plate. He has a long errorless streak going. I was talking to A.J. Hinch before the game about Kennedy, and he said, this young man's really a pitcher. And he said, and I don't mean it, sometimes in baseball circles, you're nodding your head at me, Hugh. You know where I'm going with this. That means, he's short with the fastball. He's short stuff-wise. He said he's got plenty good stuff. He's got plenty of fastball, but he really understands how to pitch.
Putting some on, taking some off, using the off-speed pitch to set up his fastball. And he's a guy that also is not afraid to go deep in the ball game. He's pitched over 100 pitches in his last 8 starts, so that also helps him stay in the game longer to give himself an opportunity to win the game.
And he went outside, and then inside for a strike on Helton. Todd was 8 for 24 on the road trip. 333 average. Hit his first home run of the year in Chicago. A couple RBIs, 3 doubles. He also walked 7 times. And this is looped to center field, and it will drop. So Todd Helton with a 2-out knock here in the first inning, and that'll get the Rockies' hottest hitter to the plate, Troy Tulowitzki. A home run in 3 of his last 4 ball games. Here's your first text message of the evening from Eric. The Rockies' offense has been inconsistent lately. What adjustments can they make to get more consistency? Just got to keep playing, keep swinging the bat, right, Jeff?
Well, and that's all you can do. I mean, you can put all the plans you want. You can have the extra batting practice. You can have no batting practice. Hit in the tunnel. Do all those things. But eventually the numbers will come back to where they're supposed to be, and this offense will start to roll a little bit.
Troy Tulowitzki, who's a notorious first pitch swinger, lets that one go by. Strike 1. Great numbers, 309 in particular. The home runs, he's going to go. He's in the middle of one of those tears where next time you look up, he may have 8 or 9.
Well, and what was nice is the home run he hit the other day to right center field. To me, that just shows that he's real close to just breaking out.
That's a line shot to Upton and right. You cannot hit it any harder than that, and that's another good sign. Didn't result in anything, but an out of ball. We'll go to the second, no score. take a break poll of the game. Text your answers to 95323. Straight, built, or curved on your calf. I love it. Text Rocks 1 for straight. I walk the line. Text Rocks 2 for curve. I kick it old school. And as always, Brakes Plus celebrating 20 years. They're rolling back prices. In May, get $49 semi-metallic brakes. $69 lifetime brakes. That's from Brakes Plus. First pitch from Chassin to Adam LaRoche's down low, ball 1.
I'm going to tell you right now, I kick it old school.
You and I, give me a fist bump.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. That's a base hit the other way by LaRoche.
Now
Against the shift.
You know, the youngsters, they have it straight across because that's the way, at least my Cody, that's the way Troy Tulowitzki wears his. So
Dex is that way. He's got it straight across, but he's old school. I mean, he's new school, I should say. Todd's old school, so a little bit of a curve there.
I think there's kind of that line, that age line there, where you kick it old school, or you toe the line or walk the line.
So if you're 25 or under, you got it straight across. Fouled back by Mark Reynolds. You'll notice Mark Reynolds, he of the long home runs, 40+ last year, is hitting in the 6 hole. They've done this the last couple of weeks, and it says a couple things to me. It's allowing that, you know, Mark will strike out quite a bit. And there's some empty at bats, and so A.J. Hinch has moved him down in the lineup. But the positive is it lengthens out your lineup where, man, there's not a lot of breathing room.
Well, and the other thing it does too, Drew, is it mixes and matches their lefties too, because they go lefty with Stephen Drew at 3, Justin Upton a righty at 4, Adam LaRoche a lefty at 5, and then Mark Reynolds, and so it kind of spreads that lineup out a little bit. As an opposing manager, you pitch to it a little bit differently too, or how you use your bullpen. And that's what A.J. Hinch was trying to do, is trying to think, you know what, do I want a guy that strikes out a lot? Yeah, Adam LaRoche over at first strikes out quite a few times. He has 38 strikeouts, but also will put the ball in play just a little bit more than Mark Reynolds will. So that's why he was trying to construct his lineup that way and slide Reynolds down to the 6th spot.
Ground ball, foul again. Past Bo Porter at 3rd. Remember the Florida Marlins staff come over and joined Arizona. Nobody out. A lead single by Adam LaRoche.
Let's see if Ulysses goes to the changeup, the one that he struck Justin Upton out to end the 1st on a 1-2 count. Went back to that fastball on the outside part of the plate, and now it's set him back up to go inside again or to use some soft stuff. Kind of all over the forward strike zone. I'd like to see one down out of the zone where Mark Reynolds will really have to try to reach for it. That was the spot I was just talking about on that 6th pitch, to go out of the zone, down and away from him, and somehow Reynolds was just able to get enough of it to foul it off.
He typically will hit the ball in the air. He's got a lot of lift naturally in his swing, a home run type hitter. He's grounded into only 2 double plays this year.
That's because he usually either hits it out or strikes out.
Good point.
Going right back out into this area again, right out in there.
He didn't bite at it. Good pitch. Pretty good location. 2-2. Diamondbacks are 7-10 inside the division. They're 9-13 out on the road. Pulled foul. Was that off the end of the bat? Batman caught it. Always good to see Batman at the ball game.
Well, that's why he brought his glove.
Batman, a Broncos fan and a Rockies fan. That's even better to see. And that's a shattered bat. I'm not so sure he didn't break it on his last swing.
He probably did. Yeah, it sounded like the one he hit the foul just previous to that was also broken. And maybe that just finished it off. You know, most guys will bring 2 or 3 bats out for a ball game. Mark Reynolds needs to bring about 5 or 6. Especially because the end of his bats are cupped a little bit. So if he hits it right off the end as hard as he swings, he's going to break a bat every single time.
2-2 inside, 3-2 on Reynolds. Greg Gibson is our home plate umpire this evening. Joined at first by the crew chief Jerry Davis, Sam Holbrook at second, and Brian Knight is at third. And this is a flare that'll be an easy play for Barmes. And let's check in with Alana Rizzo for the first time tonight. Hey, Alana.
Hey, Drew. Thanks very much. I just want to talk a little bit more about the roster move the Rockies made today. Of course, Chris Iannetta back with the big league club, and because of that, catcher Paul Phillips was designated for assignment, meaning he's on the waiver wire. Another big league team could pick him up. He would go straight to the big league ball club if another team picked him up. If not, he could and probably will stay with the Colorado Rockies if he doesn't clear waivers. Now, I talked to Paul Phillips earlier today in the clubhouse when he was packing up his stuff, and he said, you know what, I completely understand. I knew what my role was with this team. Chris Iannetta having some great numbers down in AAA Colorado Springs. They obviously signed Chris to a big time contract here, so he understood his role was very, fine with the conversation that Jim Tracy had with him. And Jim Tracy, talking about it earlier today, said Paul Phillips was absolutely professional. He understood it. He said, you know what, we have our catching staff is like a 3-headed monster, and we basically had to cut one of the heads off of the monster. And Paul Phillips joked about that conversation. So it's always hard to see somebody go. It was nice to see Chris Iannetta back, but that's just kind of the way that the game goes. But very professional and understood it and took it like a big leaguer, guys.
Well, that's no surprise. Paul Phillips, a class act, and you wish the best for Paul, and if he gets another big league opportunity, good for him. Selfishly, you'd love to see him in the organization because he gives the Rockies great catching depth. He fits right in when he's in the big league clubhouse.
Really just a seamless transition whenever he comes up or goes back down. And if it works out that the Rockies are able to keep him, know that if he's not back up, he'll be back up in September.
Absolutely, as he was last year. 1-2 on Chris Young, 1 out, LaRoche at first. And you saw the note on the graphic we put up, and I think this was a great deal by Dan O'Dowd. Kaz Matsui, who was really struggling with the bat in Houston. He was outright. He was released, I should say. He wasn't outrighted. And the Rockies have signed him to a minor league contract, and he gives them more middle of the infield depth. A guy that's enjoyed some really bright moments, in particular in a Rockies uniform. So Kaz Matsui is with Colorado Springs.
He'll report there in a couple days. He had his physical today, and it's nice to see because I catch lightning in a bottle again.
Deep in the hole, and that's going to sneak through for a hit. So Chris Young pulled his hands inside and was able to bounce one through the left side. So there's 1 out, 2 on for Arizona with Chris Young coming up.
Well, that's the difference with Chris Young this year compared to previous years. Previous years, he had 1 swing and 1 swing only, and that was trying to hit the ball out. That time, he pulled his hands in, as you mentioned, Drew, but also that pitch was down, so he dropped his body a little bit to be able to just make contact with it. He's so strong, he hit it in the hole between short and third.
He's now, after that base hit, leading the Diamondbacks in hitting, ahead of Stephen Drew. And Chris Young last year, and he most of the years hit below 215. Chris Snyder, a candidate, if you get one on the ground, to turn a double play on. Breaking ball's in there for a strike. Another test question: what role will Kaz Matsui play for the rest of the season? Well, that's yet to be determined, depending on injury and performance at the big league level.
Well, and also what he does at the minor league level too. If he goes out there and hits 150 down at AAA, he's not going to have much of a role. But if he goes and does kind of what Chris Iannetta did and hit 350 down there or 300, show that he can still get on base, take some walks, steal some bases, then you've got a decision to make. Do you bring him up, platoon him some at second base? Or do you move Clint Varmus into more of a super utility role? Those are the kind of questions that will be determined in 2 or 3 weeks once you see how he's doing.
Double play ball. There's one, and there is two. 5-4-3 around the horn. And the Rockies will get a second look at Ian Kennedy with Brad Hop, Miguel Olivo, and Ian Stewart. No scores. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Who wants tacos other than my partner, Jeff Houston? Fans, remember, if the Rockies score 7 or more runs during any game, I'll get you your tacos.
Okay.
Hang on. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6. Get your Rockies taco special. Feed your Rockies fever only at Taco Bell. And I hope you went yesterday because the Rockies scored 11 runs. That's 1-7. I know you did. You
took
told
the
me about
family.
that. That a baby. There's a breaking ball for a strike on Brad Hop. Rockies got a hit from Todd Helton in the first, and Tulowitzki hit a laser to right. Justin Upton was playing deep, and he reached up and made the catch. And Hop drives one foul the other direction. It's 0-2 on Bradley. Brad had Sunday off, had to put a little more fuel in the tank.
Well, and to back it up with yesterday's day off, so really it's a 48-hour break, and that's just a nice break when you hit that quarter pole of the season, and that's part of the reason why Jim Tracy did that on Sunday. Even though Ryan Spilborg's right on right, that doesn't matter. Give Brad the opportunity to take the day off, come back refreshed here on Tuesday.
Kennedy, a product of the University of Southern California. In fact, that's where his buddy Ian Stewart was going to go if Stewart didn't sign at a high school. Stewart was the #1 pick out of high school of the Rockies. Ian Kennedy was the #1 pick out of Southern Cal after his junior year. Stewart, a big Southern Cal fan. And this ball is gone to deep right field. Way back. Solo home run, Brad Hop, 1-0 Colorado. His 4th jack of the year. Took out the old 9-iron.
That ball was down by his shoe tops. The forward strike zone will show where this pitch was located. It had some break on it, but where it ended up, it tried to go away from him to drop that down, but no, it came back to the inside part of the plate. Wasn't even in the strike zone. And that's where that strength of Brad Hoff and using a lot of leverage allowed him to drive that ball out. Brad Hoff had those couple days off. That bat was jumping through the zone.
I love the pitch on the fourth strike zone. It was, 8 inches low. Miguel Olivo swings through that. It's 0-1. That is now, listen to this, folks. That is now 74 home runs allowed by the Arizona Diamondback pitching staff this year. 74. That is the most in baseball. Number 2 on that list of relinquishing home runs. In other words, the next most is 51. And there's 5 teams that have allowed 51 home runs. So Arizona has allowed 23 more home runs than anybody else in baseball, and we've played just a little more than 40 games. Are you kidding me?
You don't want to be that leader. I mean, they've also allowed 76 home runs in just 23 ball games at their ballpark at Chase Field. Go figure. Hyundai Cam tried the split finger, what he uses kind of down as a changeup, and then Brad dropped those hands in at a good hitting spot. And even though he was out in front a little bit, notice the hips, the way they rotated to get the drive.
3-2 on Olivo. It's not often that the catcher is getting dirt in the webbing of his glove and then stands up and watches the ball sail 375 feet into the seats.
Where do lefties like it a lot? Down and in.
Down and in. Here's the 3-2, and Olivo fouls it back. I want to tell you a little bit more about home runs relinquished. So Arizona plays at the second highest altitude in all of baseball, obviously to where the Rockies play in the Mile High City. Arizona's allowed 74 home runs. The Rockies have allowed 30. It is the second fewest home runs allowed in all of baseball to Detroit. Detroit's allowed 28. The Rockies, everybody in baseball, the Rockies playing a bandbox. You throw the ball up and it lands 450 feet from home plate. Yeah, well, guess what? Look at the numbers.
That still boggles my mind that people don't do the research sometimes and sit there and, yeah, pre-humidor, that's true. Not anymore. That ball's not jumping out like it used to, where you get a check swing or a broken bat and the ball would still go out.
Home runs allowed. It's not only most in the National League, that's the most in baseball. It's amazing. Amazingly bad for Arizona's pitching staff. Here's Stewart against his buddy, and a line drive the other way with the runner going, but Olivo will have to shut it down at second. So Ian Stewart, he told me earlier, he said, I don't know if Kennedy will grin at me when I come up. He said in spring training when we matched up against each other, that was one thing, but this is the real McCoy.
Curveball, the Hyundai Cam away from Ian Stewart. This reminds me of the swing he had in Kansas City yesterday where he drove the ball in the left center field gap. This time he stays on it with the runner going, the vacant spot between short and third. He just hits a line drive to the left fielder, Connor Jackson.
Here's Barmes, RBI situation, first and second, nobody out. Man, he had a quality pitch to hit. That's the pitch that Barmes a lot of times will hit in the seats. It's how he hit 23 home runs last year. Heater on the inner half.
He is so good in there that he doesn't miss that pitch very often. I would be shocked if Ian Kennedy tried to go back in there again. More than likely something away, something soft.
They're going in again. 1-1. You saw the late move by Chris Snyder.
But you go in there and he missed exactly where he wanted to miss, way in where Clint could not even try to swing at it.
And this is a pop up to shallow center. Chris Young will have it. Everybody will have to hold. And that'll bring up Chacin in a bunting situation. Our Geico quote of the day involves somebody who knows Arizona baseball very well, still makes his home in the desert. There's some broadcasting still with the Diamondbacks. Joe Garagiola. I went through life as a player to be named later. And if you look in any baseball quotation book, Garagiola and Euchre take up about half the pages.
Well, and don't forget Yogi Berra.
And
yeah,
Yogi.
So there's the whole book right there with those three guys.
Well, I was going to do a Yogi, but I'll let it pass. I've seen fouls off the first one. He's got to get this down. Give Seth Smith an opportunity.
Yeah, where he wants to bunt it too is you don't have to be too fine, because you can bunt it a little bit harder towards third base and make the third baseman Mark Reynolds field the baseball, because you're going to have the first baseman Adam LaRoche charging in hard. Ian Kennedy's going to go towards the third base line. Go ahead and bunt it down there, make him field it.
Stay fair. Snyder did them a favor, you know that?
I think he was concerned that might not roll foul though.
Yeah, I mean you got to. I figured he'd allow it a breath more to see if it was turning left, but it's easy to say from up here. Maybe he made the judgment that he couldn't risk everybody being safe.
Yeah, maybe he saw that it wasn't spinning as much as it looked like it might be. My thought and rule of thumb is when in doubt, get the out, and that's exactly what the catcher Chris Snyder was thinking. I'm going to go ahead and get the out. Now there's 2 outs. Yeah, a couple guys in scoring position at second and third, but I don't want to mess around. All of a sudden you got the bases loaded and only 1 out.
See how Kennedy pitches to Smith, because you have that goes through the wickets. Here comes Oliva. He'll score easily. 2-0 Colorado. As Stewart moves to third. Not only did it go 5-hole on Snyder, then he couldn't find the baseball. It's a wild pitch.
You know, if you call for that pitch and you're calling for something down, I know it landed way out in front, but you still got to drop down and just let it come up off your chest. And that ball was out in front of the plate, and Chris just didn't get down. He's a big guy at 6'4", and sometimes he has a hard time really just dropping all the way over onto his knees and keeping that glove down. And then once it went through there, yeah, just couldn't get it. But now, how big was that sacrifice from Chacin?
I was getting ready to say it'll be interesting to see how Kennedy pitches to Smith with the 2 ribbies out there at first base open, because you have a less accomplished left-handed bat in the on-deck circle in Dexter Fowler.
And a guy that has a few more holes, too, in his swing.
2-1.
Hey, Ian Kennedy with runners in scoring position, 2 outs, just allowed a 158 average. So he has a pretty good idea of what he wants to do and how he's going to attack the hitters. Tends to go more soft, something more break and pitch type, curveball, changeups, all those different things, rather than the hard fastball. If he does, it's just to show you the pitch.
And he showed it to him away. It's 3-1 on Smith. If you look inside the numbers on a pitching staff that includes one of the game's best right-handers in Dan Herring, at least through the first couple of months of the season, that man has been the most consistent starting pitcher for Arizona. And the numbers support that. Ball 4. So Smith goes to first and third, with Stewart occupying the bag nearest Richie Dower, and that'll bring up Dexter Fowler. Dexter hit a fly ball to Chris Young in center last inning.
Well, to further illustrate your point about Ian Kennedy, his last 7 starts, he's 3-1 with a 2.20 ERA.
And you talked about the average against lefties well below 200. Righties haven't hit great against them either. They're in the 230s. So here's Dexter, a chance to give the Rockies perhaps a 3-0 lead. This is where you put pressure on the defense, because Reynolds has to shorten up and safeguard against the bunt.
Opens up more holes for Dexter if he hits it on the ground. Ball and a strike. I mean, even Adam LaRoche over at first base holding the runner on, he can only come off the bag, yet he's still only 90 feet away. So that it creates a hole on the right side and also on the left side.
Well, that was pitch to hit because Kennedy missed location by a foot.
And the ball was up too, and that's the one you're able to stay on top of it and drive it the other way. Chris Snyder wanted the ball down, had to reach up. Boy, oh boy, Dexter wants that one back. A 1-2 count. You got to anticipate a ball in the dirt if you're Seth Smith over at first base.
And there it is. You get the back foot slider. They have 21 wild pitches now, Arizona, tied with San Francisco for the most wild pitches in the National League. There's always that fine line, from a catching instructor standpoint, which pitches in the dirt should have been blocked by the catcher. Two and two. 3-2 with Helton on deck. So Smith will be off with the pitch.
The thing that's going to help Seth Smith now is Adam LaRoche is going to back off behind him, so it's less likely they'll do the old third to first move where you might get picked if you're Seth Smith over at first. Now you just have to get help from your first base coach, make sure that he's still back.
Well, that's interesting to me. If you're at the plate, aren't you thinking, man, he's not sure what he wants to do here on the hill, right?
Yeah, because he just stepped off, realizing, there's a guy at first. What does he want to throw?
And Dexter covered that pitch, a 90-mile-an-hour heater away. So it's 3-2 again. Smith will return to first base. Rockies got a home run from Brad Hopp leading off the inning. And then a walk to Olivo, a single by Stewart, sacrifice to second and third, and a wild pitch brought Miguel home. 2-0 Rockies as they open a 6-game homestand. Strike 3 on Fowler. So Dexter watched the third strike go by. In the inning, the Rockies get a pair of runs. Brad Hopp with his 4th of the season. By Brakes Plus, a whole lot more. By Tri-State, the power behind your local electric co-op. And by Hyundai, get more style, more MPG, and more value at your Colorado Hyundai dealers today. Swinging strike one to Ian Kennedy. 9-1-2 for Arizona at the top of the third. Rockies up 2-0 for Yolis Chacin. Couple hits and a walk so far for Chacin. 0-2. Kennedy 3 for 18. And he's gone on a slider. And that is the third strikeout of the ball game for Chacin, who will accumulate punchouts. Repair that chip in your windshield. Here's how you do it. Call Safelight Elite Auto Glass at 303-287-5000 or online at safelight.com. Drew Goodman, Jeff Hewson, Alana Rizzo from Coors Field. Very pleasant night and a great gathering. Looks like the rock pile's filled up tonight. Kelly Johnson walked his first time, and here goes Miguel Olivo out to the hill.
Well, and that's kind of the way he started Kelly Johnson to start the ball game too. So Miguel said, enough. Let's get back to go ahead and throwing the ball into the zone and see what he does with it.
That's at the knees for a strike.
Well, it's just nice. You talk about the fans. The Rockies have been on the road so much. You really just don't feel like, and now that school's out, it's nice to be able to go back out to the ballpark again.
And there is the rock pile. With a whole lot of folks in it. Great to see. That's on the outside corner for a strike. 2-2. Very confident Yolis Chacin. 22 years of age, the youngest member of the 25-man major league roster, and a good breaking ball. Johnson fouls it off. Kelly's career high in home runs set a couple years ago with Atlanta, 16. He's got a dozen.
He slowed down a little bit from what he had in April, though. I mean, April, he was as hot as anybody as far as hitting home runs. I think he had 8 or 9, something like that, in the month of April. Started to tail off a little bit now, but he still has that pretty nice swing from the left side.
Well, one of his 12 home runs was a walk-off job here. Well, not a walk-off. You can't have a walk-off home run on the road, but it provided the difference in the ball game. Arizona took 2 of 3 from Colorado in their earlier visit to Coors Field. 2-2 again. Outside 3-2 on Johnson.
.51 pitches now for Yolis, and right now in 2 1/3 innings. It's okay. It's a little bit high.
Got a towering fly ball to left field. Thank goodness we're not dealing with the wind that evidently was around over the weekend here, or the wind that was around the first part of the day yesterday.
It was awful on Saturday. I mean, 35, 40 mile an hour wind. And then yesterday, saw some trampolines over the fence. I saw trees down. I saw a lot of different things yesterday afternoon. It was bad, but today it's a calm day. Hey, fans, don't forget that $59 Coca-Cola value packs are available on all May games.
Connor Jackson takes a strike. I got to ask you something. I saw trees down, and
yeah,
I didn't see any trampolines from 1 yard to another.
I saw it over the fence.
You saw a trampoline that got lifted?
Yes. Down in Parker.
You didn't see Toto fly by?
I didn't see Toto fly by, but it wouldn't have surprised me.
1-2-3 inning for Chacin. Middle of 3, Rockies up 2-0. It's a log jam. Kids. This date in history is brought to you by Dex One Marketing Solutions Business Results. May 25th, 1999, in a game which featured 200-mile-an-hour pitches thrown by Randy Johnson. The Diamondbacks tie a 68-year-old big league record when catcher Damian Miller starts 3 double plays in a win over the Padres. It's hard for a catcher to be involved in double plays, much less 3 of them in one ballgame.
Yeah, I can't remember a game where a catcher was involved in more than 1 or 2 possibly.
You know, he's practiced it during infield, slapped a little bunt that doesn't go anywhere out in front of home plate, fired a second, but I don't see it happen in a game that much. Todd Helton, who had a base hit his first time up, check swing, and now he's in a hole 0-2. Todd's on base percentage hovering right around 400.
393, which is 13th in the National League right now.
He's so good at keeping those hands back, isn't he, Jeff?
Well, that's part of the reason why he sees well over 4 pitches per at bat, that he's able to foul off some pitches where other guys will swing through it. But that's the reason why he keeps his hands back, even though his body might get out in front a little bit, or his hands still stay back, and he can still fire it at the ball.
And not this time. Fastball got him. Second strikeout for Ian Kennedy. And that'll bring up Troy Tulowitzki, who hit a laser right at Justin Upton, deep right field his first time up.
And I know, even though it says 0 for 1, line out in the first, that's still in Todd's mind, or excuse me, in Troy's mind, that's still a base hit. It doesn't show up in the box score, but the way he hit it, he'll take a lot of those, because more than not, they're going to fall.
This will get out of play. 0-1. Let's take a look at the Amica hit zone on Troy Tulowitzki, and remind you that for every Colorado hit from now through the end of the year, Amica Insurance will donate $10 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of Denver. Thank you, Amica.
Remember before, those ones up on top, the 417, the 357s, those are the ones that used to eat him up when he was a little more of a crouch type of hitter. Now he's more upright, and he's able to take the barrel to those.
This one's got the barrel to it. Will it stay fair? If it does, it's a guy. It is no indication yet now. A home run for Tulowitzki. 3-0 Colorado. His 4th home run in his last 5 games. That thing was hammered.
A bit of a breaking pitch from Ian Kennedy, and it goes back to his first at bat where he was able to take that ball away from him. This time he just reacted in. 4th strike zone, tried to come inside with that fastball, 88 miles an hour, and Troy knew it as soon as he hit it. He was just hoping right here that thing didn't hook too much, because he knew he had the distance.
And a little chin music for Brad Hopp. Look at the Hyundai can.
Watch the eyes in the barrel, with the way they connect and go down together, the follow through both hands. Boy, that is pretty.
2-0. Tulowitzki's locked in. And the difference this year, when he wasn't truly, in quotations, locked in the first 6 weeks of the season, he was still hitting about 300.
Yeah, he didn't come out of April like he has in the past, hitting 180, 190.
This ball has hit the center field and deep. Young going back, still going back, and he reaches up in the middle of the track and makes the catch. So Brad Hopp almost answered that chin music with his 2nd bomb of the night.
There's just a little bit of wind now that is picked up, coming in from basically right center field. It's kind of a cross. And that ball held that up just enough that the center fielder, Chris Young, was able to get back and catch that ball. Yeah, you like to answer when somebody gives you that chin music. If not with a home run, at least a base hit to say, hey, don't do that again.
Here's Olivo. Breaking ball missed. I've really been impressed in so many ways, Jeff, with Miguel Olivo. And I'll tell you one right now. For a reputation coming into this year as a guy who swings at absolutely everything and never walks unless it's an intentional pass, he has really worked some deeper counts and has gotten some walks this year. He had one in the first inning.
Yeah, and that would be his 13th walk on the season. His high for walks in the season is only 20. So you think about the progress that he's made coming over to a new league in pitchers that he doesn't know. All of a sudden, that starts to expand a little bit as far as his ability to draw the walks, to take the lineup just a little bit further, turn it over, and do the things that you want a guy to do. Okay, and then also throw out 8 home runs and 21 RBIs.
3-1 right now on Olivo. Home run hack, no baseball, 3-2. Here's a quick aside for you. Troy Tulowitzki, when he hits a home run, the Rockies are 4-0 this year. That's good news. And another walk for Olivo. Text to booth night presented by OfficeLiquidators.com. Chris writes in, Tulo's bat is heated up. What are the chances that he's selected as an all-star for the first time this year? I hope he makes it. It's still early. These conversations really, you start talking about them second, third week of June where they have more validity. But you're talking about the best fielding percentage among shortstops, a guy who is on everybody's radar because of what he's done in his first few years in the big leagues. 32 jacks last year, close to a 300 average. Stewart takes a strike. So, yeah, he is going to be one of the leading candidates. Jimmy Rollins is on the DL for the second time this year, who's a perennial all-star.
Hanley Ramirez would probably be the first choice on a lot of people's ballots.
Yeah, though he may get hurt in the fans' vote because of what transpired last week. So Stewart against his close friend Kennedy, ripped a single left his first time. Outside, 1-1. I asked him, did he ever face him other than the spring training thing? He said, in high school, he said, during live BP, I would face him every once in a while. I mean, that was quite a high school team he played on in Orange County. And he said, actually, in high school, he threw harder then than he does now.
That's not unusual. A lot of guys will do that because they're still young. Their arms are fresh, and all of a sudden they start to accumulate some innings. And all of a sudden the miles per hour will start to go down just a little bit. How about that team, though?
Unbelievable.
Isn't it?
3 guys in pro ball, 2 in the big leagues, 1 who will be in the big leagues one day. Good pick up there by Snyder. Cole Garner, the third person we're referring to, and Garner checked his numbers just a few days ago, was hitting over 300 down in Colorado Springs. He's got pop. He's quite an athlete. He can run. He had a terrific spring also.
Well, he did, and that's what puts you on the radar as well, because now all of a sudden you're getting some big league players and teams, and you open the organization's eyes at times.
Stewart lays off that 3-1. Certain things fall under the category of natural human emotions, and there's a little more juice flowing in the bloodstream tonight for Ian Stewart, and right now for Ian Kennedy facing his friend.
Both of them.
Sure.
They're both focused right now because they want bragging rights when they go back to their high school.
Runner going, and this one is fouled off into the upper deck. So Olivo will come back. 2 outs. A run in on the Tulowitzki home run. 3-0 Colorado. Ball 4, and that's 4 walks, which is most unusual, allowed by Ian Kennedy, and that's going to get Mel Stottlemyre out to the mound.
Well, because he only had 16 walks in 58 in the third innings coming into this ball game. I mean, that was part of my scouting report, is he was a strike thrower. Because of those numbers you looked at, all the scouts that I talked to before the ball game, they were saying, man, this guy will just pound the strike zone, work ahead 0-1, 0-2. But to me, he's trying to be too fine right now.
Joe,
and those 4 walks are a season high for him.
You know, I'm laughing a little bit because Mel Stottlemyre's had the most unenviable job perhaps in baseball this year, and he's a very demonstrative, fiery guy. And if you remember the last series here, when some of his pitchers struggled, because the Rockies did lose 2 or 3, but the Rockies scored a bunch of runs against Arizona. And I mean, if he could have ripped off his uniform and stomped on it, he would have done it. And he's made far too many trips in the first 2 months of the season out to the mound.
Well, that's kind of the way he was as a pitcher, too. He was kind of demonstrative, and he would get a little fired up and get real animated out on the hill. And he hasn't lost any of that passion by becoming a pitching coach.
Barmes looks at a breaking ball. It misses 1-0. Yeah, he's got a lot of blanket vinegar in him. And that's a good quality. You know, when you're competing at this level, it's not all bad.
You have to have it.
2-0. He wants to get Barmes here, but he has the luxury of a real light hitting pitcher on deck in Yoeli Chassis. Not that he wants to load the bases.
No. But that might be an opportunity where you say it's okay to flip the lineup over.
Barmes goes after the off-speed delivery 2-0, so Kennedy did not give in. Is that a count in this situation where if you were hitting the A-hole, you'd look off-speed?
Yeah, or I would just look fastball, and if I didn't get it, I wouldn't swing.
Okay.
I mean, Clint, looking at that now, it's easy to say, yeah, because it was a 79-mile-an-hour pitch. But he's not going to give him a fastball on the inside part of the plate where he can do some damage. It goes back to the point you were just making a moment ago.
Well, let me ask you, because sometimes you guys, you'll sit on an off-speed pitch in a favorable count, figuring he's not going to throw me a heater. 3-1 now. Would you sit off-speed here?
Yes, I would. Definitely. If you threw me a fastball, so what? I still got another pitch.
2 on, 2 outs. And he threw him a slider.
That's okay. I mean, it was a good pitcher's pitch. Right on the outside part of the plate on the black. You tip your cap to him, but yet it's still 3-2. If you take a swing at that thinking it's a fastball, it's a ground ball or an easy pop-up to the infielders.
And I have to believe, I mean, you have to sit fastball and adjust off speed, understand that, but you probably surprised if he throws a fastball here.
I would be shocked if he did. I think he would go back to that break and pitch, change up something away from Clint again.
Slider's always given Barmes problems away. He got a fastball, and it's popped up in the area of Justin Upton, and Upton makes the catch. In the inning, the Rockies will leave 2 aboard, but they do get a run. Troy Tulowitzki with a bomb to left just inside the foul pole. 3-0 Colorado. Land Rover. in the second inning. Brad Hobb with the senior PGA Tour. They decided to go golf school on you. And golf's one of the seats, his 4th home run of the year. Then Troy Tulowitzki last inning got a fastball. He pulled his hands in and barreled inside the foul pole for his 5th of the year, 4th in his last 5 games. Rockies up 3-0. Our Land Rover game recap. Yolis Chassin, through 3 innings, has given up a couple of hits. He's walked 1, 54 pitches. Kennedy has thrown a bunch of pitches, Jeff, in 3 innings. This is Stephen Drew, and he takes outside ball 1. Drew hit a fly ball to center field his first time.
Last year, Stephen Drew was a .333 average, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs against the Rockies. He's 2 for 10 this year.
And he pops another one up. Tulowitzki going out. Smith had a long run, and it'll be Troy. Today's Fast Cash Sideline Report is brought to you by Fast Cash Gold Centers, where you'll always get 40% more for your gold. Once again, here's Alana Rizzo.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Today is May 25th, and a couple of weeks ago, it was the day that Rockies fans were really looking forward to, because today was the day that Houston Street was supposed to be activated after dealing with his shoulder issues for the entire season. However, he ended up messing up his groin a little bit. It was the 4th pitch of his 2nd rehab start, and he caught his foot on the mound where he was pitching in that rehab start. And I talked to Houston earlier today, who was in the clubhouse, about what was going on. He said, I cannot tell you how frustrated I am and how difficult it has been for me not to be with my team. He told me, he said, you know what, it's so much harder to deal with this when the team is actually in town. When the team is out of town, I'm working on my rehab, I'm making progress, I feel like I'm making that progress, but when I see them and I can't do anything to help them, it makes it even worse. And Jeff, maybe that's something you can talk about when you were on the DL in your career, how much more difficult it was to have your guys around you but not be able to do anything about it.
Well, thanks, Alana, for bringing up some bad memories. But you're right.
Sorry about that. I didn't think you were healthy for all 10 years in 1 week.
I wasn't, no. And that's the thing about it. That's the most frustrating thing, because as a player, you just want to go out there and play. I mean, that's why you play this game, because you enjoy it so much, and it's frustrating. But when you're a guy like a Houston Street that saves so many ball games, and you have nothing you can do to help the ball club right now, you know what you feel like? You kind of feel like a ghost. Everybody says hi to you, but you can't do anything for me, so I'll talk to you later.
Tough spot.
It is. It is not fun.
Jeff Francis went through it last year, and he was a cheerleader for all 81 home games. And it was not a fun experience. Strike 1 on Adam LaRoche, 2 outs, nobody on. 4 strikeouts for Yolis Chassin. See, now look at him.
Well, just smiling.
That's a strike also.
Let's just hope that Houston Street, when he comes back, has the success that Jeff Francis has had in his first couple outings.
Yeah, you bet. Here's the 0-2.
Now you can start to feel like Yolis is getting into a little bit of a groove. 10 of 14 on first pitch strikes, and really starting to work ahead now to throw the pitches that he wants to throw.
Shattered bat, and Barnes has the easiest play he'll have all year long. That is 7 in a row set down. That was only 8 pitches. Nice job by Chassin. Rockies leading 3-0. Pretty sunset at Coors Field. Drew Goodman, Jeff Houston, Alana Rizzo. Our AT&T trivia question tonight. The Rockies turned 5 double plays on Sunday in Kansas City. What's the big league record for double plays turned in a 9-inning game? Yolis Chassin takes high. That's pitch number 70 on the evening from Ian Kennedy. 2 in the second, 1 in the third for Colorado. And that fastball's too tall. Jeff, hey, give Chassin, in case Richie, he didn't look at Richie Dower. I'm sure he did. Make sure you give him the take sign here.
Okay, I just gave it to him.
Did you?
Yeah, I pointed away from the field, gave the one finger away from the field. Take. If the catcher can't catch it, how can that be a strike?
I don't know, but Chris Snyder almost, by boxing that pitch, almost took a strike away from Ian Kennedy. Two balls, 2 strikes. Rockies tied with the Braves in double plays turned in the National League for #1.
Well, you got to have some sinker ball pitchers. Aaron Cook, even Ubaldo Jimenez. Everybody thinks of Ubaldo as being this big strikeout guy and a guy that, and he does get a lot of strikeouts, but he also rolls a lot of double plays too.
No, what he is, Huey, is he's a broken bat pitcher. When he pitches, you break your bat.
That is true. And you don't get many hits either. Sometimes 0.
You know what? He also is the guy that gives the other team the instantaneous 24-hour flu bug.
Oh, I've got that headache, Coach.
Don't feel good, Skip.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think it'll go away in 3 hours, though.
Chassin retired, but he saw 6 pitches. So he took a few more bullets out of the arm of Ian Kennedy. 3-0 Colorado, 1 out. We'll see the top of the order in Seth Smith. Text to booth night. When I fill out an all-star ballot, will he disqualify my ballot if I leave the American League side blank? I really don't care who goes for the American League. That's Spencer and Aurora. No, they will count your ballot.
Yeah, if you just want to fill out 25 ballots, have National League on it, go ahead. Just make sure that there's some Rockies players on there.
Here's Smith. And the first round of balloting was released today. So who's leading? Ryan Braun is leading in left. Shane Victorino, Jason Worth, Philadelphia. Listen, they're the 2-time defending National League champs. They deserve to have a lot of players. They draw very well. Polanco, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Albert Pujols, and Yadier Molina. So Charlie Manuels is taking his whole squad, huh?
And then he'll probably throw in a couple extra guys, too.
Left field, Connor Jackson waiting, 2 outs.
I can understand a couple of those guys. Yeah, obviously Chase Utley and Jason Worth.
Chase Utley.
Not Victorino though.
You know what? He's got some pop, but the average isn't great. Jimmy Rollins been hurt.
Right.
I'm a big Jimmy Rollins fan. Look, the Mets beating up the Phils tonight. Big Jimmy Rollins fan, but Jimmy hasn't played much this year. And I love Polanco, but he's not the best third baseman in the National League. I'm going to take Ryan Zimmerman in front of him.
I'll take Pablo Sandoval.
I'm going to take Pablo Sandoval in front of him. And I know we're leaving out probably others.
Yeah.
1-1 on Dexter Fowler. 2 outs in the 4th inning. I'll take Casey McGee with Milwaukee.
Oh, sure.
Before Polanco right now. Yeah. And Dexter hits this in the air to shallow center field. Chris Young gathers it in. And that's the first 1-2-3 inning tonight for Kennedy. Rockies 3 and the Diamondbacks nothing as we go to the 5th. Get your cash back. Chase what matters. By Exempla, most hearts, most experience. stjosephheart.org. By Steel and your local Steel dealers. For a location near you, visit steeldealers.com. And by Hyundai. Hyundai was just named the most fuel-efficient car maker in America. Visit your Colorado Hyundai dealers today. Here we go, top of the 5th inning. Mark Reynolds hitting out of the 6-hole the last couple of weeks. He popped out the second his first time up. Rockies have a semi-shift on. Clint Barnes is playing almost directly up the middle, just a couple of steps to the right of the second base bag. Fouled off. A ball and a strike on the Virginia product, Mark Reynolds. You know, we were talking about third baseman. I mean, Reynolds doesn't have much of an average, but 11 home runs, 36 RBIs, among the league leaders in those two categories. He's also the strikeout leader in the league. With 62. Justin Upton is third with 59, now 60 strikeouts because he struck out earlier. Actually struck out twice, so he's one behind Reynolds. 61 strikeouts. That's the Diamondbacks. They'll hit it over the wall,
right,
and they're going to make a lot of left turns.
Yeah, that's part of the reasons why they've scored the National League best 240 runs, because of all the home runs that they've hit.
And this one's popped up, foul ground. Olivo will not have a play. And Arizona as a club has struck out 418 times. That is the most in baseball. Well ahead of Toronto, who has struck out the second most times. Florida is third. And this one may be playable for Helton. We'll see. Yep. Good job by Todd. This replay brought to you by the Colorado Lottery. We're talking about strikeouts. Well, Yolis Chacin has 4 of them tonight. And most of his strikeouts are going to occur on his changeup and his breaking ball. Not so much the fastball. There's a couple on the breaking ball. From now until June 30th, replay any of your non-winning scratch tickets and a second chance drawing. Enter those tickets at coloradolottery.com. That's a strike on Chris Young.
Yeah, but now he's 12 of 16 with first pitch strikes, and that's why he's been able to get those strikeouts that you were mentioning just a moment ago, Drew, is because he's ahead in the count 0-1, 0-2, 1-2 to get to the secondary pitches.
And think of the first hitter of the game. You know, Bob Apodaca was saying, uh-oh. You know, because his last couple of starts, he was shaky with fastball command, and he walked the first batter he faced, Kelly Johnson, the ball game on 5 pitches.
And really wasn't close other than the 3-0 pitch. The rest of them weren't near the zone at all.
This is in the air to pretty deep right field, but Brad Hopp will have room. 2 outs. And that is 9 in a row set down by Yolis Chacin. You'd love to get this guy and deal with the pitcher leading off the 6th inning, Chris Snyder, who hit into a 5-4-3 double play in the second.
Well, that served 2 purposes, that double play. You got him kind of out of the inning because there was a couple guys on base, but it also caused the Diamondbacks to have to bring up Ian Kennedy to lead off the next inning.
That, for me, at least in the first half of this ball game, was the swing pitch.
Yes.
Because there were 2 men on with 1 out. And Chacin, I still don't think he was real comfortable yet, but he got the ground ball double play, and since that time he's dominated the Arizona lineup, and the Rockies on offense put a few markers up.
Well, and that's what allowed him to really just take a deep breath and say, oh, okay, I got out of that. Now I can start to get back to pitching.
The moment we say that, he falls behind 3-0, but he's been locked in. He's upset with himself there. See if he can come all the way back. It's been a tough month for Chris Snyder. He's 8 for 51 in the month of May, a 157 average. He was going to be the backup to Miguel Montero, but Montero's hurt.
A torn meniscus in his knee. He should be back here in a couple weeks. He'll have to go down on a rehab assignment. I can tell you this, though, there's not many guys in the Rockies locker room or bench that are, you know, sad not to see Miguel Montero out there, because he usually kills the Rockies.
He kills the Rockies. He's a legitimate bat.
You never want to see anybody get hurt. I mean, that's not my point. My point is that when he comes to the plate, he usually does some damage.
Here's the 3-2, and he went slider. Snyder stayed off it, so that breaks the string at 9 in a row. And Ian Kennedy will come up.
%50 fastball for lease on this. 40% of the breaking pitches, and those are typically the slider or the curveball variety. And then there are 41%, excuse me, and the 9% that's straight changeup.
Kennedy trying to bunt his way on. Ian, it's fouled by about 50 feet. That was like one of those little league things, where the kid fouls it off straight behind, and he tears off for first base because he's still getting used to playing baseball, oblivious to the fact that the ball went backwards.
Well, you run until the umpire says foul ball. That's all he was doing right there. This is a guy that didn't swing the bat much in college. When he came up with the Yankees, didn't swing the bat much there, so doesn't have that experience that a lot of other guys have.
This is a flare to shallow right, but guess what? Brad Hop was playing shallow right. Another solid inning for Chacin. 3-0 Rockies. Help Tulowitzki and Hop next inning. $4.70, quick, easy, and available to anyone. Test drive it today. Arizona will be here through Thursday. That ball game on Thursday is an afternoon affair. And then the Dodgers will be in town over the weekend before the Rockies head west to take on the Giants Monday. What a pitching matchup. Scheduled matchup on Memorial Day. An afternoon ball game in San Francisco. Ubaldo Jimenez and Tim Lincecum. Helton swings through the breaking ball. Todd struck out in the third inning. He had a single in the first.
Well, as soon as people hear about that matchup, I don't think there's going to be too many empty seats at AT&T Park.
Well, typically, as you know, there aren't, and there won't be.
No.
Todd had a little lift and tilt in that swing, a little separation going.
He'll drop that back elbow down, elevate the shoulders, and try to hit the ball out. Going inside with the fastball.
That's going to be in the seats.
Oh. A glove, and it popped out of the glove.
But they can hug because they have the baseball. For each Colorado hit from now through the end of the year, Amica Insurance will donate $10 to the Boys and Girls Club of Denver. As we look at the hit zone, brought to you by Amica on Help.
I tell you this, folks, you're not going to see this too much longer with those 125s, 143s.
Nope.
Those numbers will climb well up into the 200, 300 range.
Those last two pitches, Jeff, that he covered, not easy to cover those two, are they?
Well, they're not. They tried to come in with the fastball, then the breaking pitch away, but you can see where the pattern that the Diamondbacks are trying to do to Todd from the forward strike zone. Everything is away from him. They don't want to try to come in, and if they do, it'll be way in off the plate, trying to get him out going away from him. When they tried to come in that first inning, that's when he blooped that ball into left field because he was able to use his hands to pull inside, get enough of the barrel. I mean, just everything. And if you wanted to see a pattern, there's a perfect example of what they're trying to do.
And they gave him something he could handle, and he knocks it into center field, his second hit of the ball game. So Todd leads off the fifth with a single, and here comes Tulowitzki, riding a 9-game hitting streak now. Came into the ball game tied with Michael Bourne of Houston for the longest hitting streak in the National League.
Well, a little bit. It coincides with Todd and the number of times he was on the last road trip too, with the walks and the base hits, almost on base about 50% of the time. And then what happens? And then Troy gets better pitches to hit.
This replay brought to you by the Colorado Lottery. Last time up, got a fastball on the inner half, and he drove it a mile. The only question was, would it stay fair? It did. The Colorado Lottery replay of the ball game. Play those non-winning scratch tickets in a second chance drawing. Do it at coloradolottery.com. Tulo over the 9-game hitting streak, hitting .353 with 4 home runs. Driven in 7, scored 7. Now the pitch counts in that place where, A.J. Hinch is going to notice. Talking to Mel Stottlemyre, 93 pitches, and he doesn't have anybody out in the 5th inning. And that bullpen already has activity. And
that's the one thing that A.J. Hinch did not want to have to do. Ismerling Vasquez is up, throwing for the D-backs, trying to get loose.
This is popped up, playable on the right side. Brad Hopp. Hopp owns a home run tonight, and also a fly ball in the middle of the warning track at dead center field. Almost has 2 bombs tonight. His home run earlier tonight for Brad, number 115 of his career. That's 7th on the all-time Rockies home run list. Helton, of course, who you just saw as number 1 at 325. Brad's tied with Ellis Burks. Burks hit 115 home runs as a Rocky. Outside, ball 1.
You can just tell from the way Brad's even taking pitches that he's seeing the ball pretty well tonight off of Ian Kennedy. There's not that jumping out onto that front leg. It's not the lunging towards the pitcher. Keeping the hands back.
Brad, you almost forget about it because Brad spent a couple weeks on the DL with the quad injury, but all year, Brad's been, 320, 330, 340. And now the ball's starting to go out of the ballpark. 2-1.
Well, that's part of the reason why Jim Tracy wanted to give him Sunday off, because as you said earlier tonight, that he just really ran out of gas last year in August and September. There just wasn't anybody else that Jim Tracy could go to that he had the confidence in. So Brad didn't get the daily breaks or a Sunday off when they needed to do it, and now he can do that with Carlos Gonzalez. I know Carlos is hurt now, but to be able to spell Brad Hop.
Well, you have five. You have 5 really good outfielders.
Sure.
3-1 on Hop. There's Cargo, available to pinch hit tonight if necessary. Took BP with the sore wrist. You know, I'm looking at Kennedy throwing, and he's known as a strike thrower. He's been really solid this year. 4 straight quote-unquote quality starts coming in. He went 8 innings in his last outing, allowed just a run. But tonight, it almost looks like he's avoiding throwing the ball over the plate.
Well, and think of it, this is his first time coming to Coors Field, so he's like, uh-oh, I've heard all the horror stories, so I've got to make sure that I make that perfect pitch.
This ball is lifted to deep left center field. This is a long run for Connor Jackson. He gets there. Helps halfway to third. He's got a long trip back. Here's the throw to first. Not quite in time. Now Todd needs a TO.
Timeout. Timeout.
Helt was halfway to third. Good thing he didn't just run across the infield.
I've seen a former Rocky do that one time in the minor leagues. And Larry Walker.
This is the Home Depot doing more on defense. Connor Jackson, a converted first baseman. That's a great running catch. You know, if you're Carlos Gonzalez or Dexter Fowler, who can really fly. Connor Jackson, not known for his wheels. That's a pretty fine play, and Helt a long trip back to first.
He was halfway to third base before he had to put on the brakes and go back and re-tag at second. I didn't think, when that ball was hit, I didn't think Connor Jackson had a chance to get that. I thought it was in the gap.
Well, Brad Hobbs hit a home run. He's hit the ball almost to the wall in center, almost to the wall in deep left center. That's in there. 0-2 on Olivo. Olivo turned into Larry Boa. First time up, a walk. Second time up, a walk. And that's ugly. Snyder is still going to get his man though. Well, he's walking okay. I was looking off camera. He's limping for a sec. He's walking all right. 3-0 Rockies. Open up this 3-game set against Arizona, and Colorado leading the Diamondbacks 3-0. Our Quest high-speed pitch. Kennedy's hit 91. Chacin has hit 93. It's brought to you by Quest, the high-speed internet provider of the Colorado Rockies. Top of the order here in the 6th inning for Arizona. Kelly Johnson, a walk and a fly ball to left field. Chacin has allowed 2 hits. They came in the same inning. In the second, LaRoche, line drive single to left, and Chris Young, a seeing eye ground ball through the left side. Chacin's on, and we've seen him fantastic on a couple of occasions. He didn't give up many hits. Remember his first start of the year, he gave up 1 hit in San Francisco in 7 innings.
That was a double down the line by really the last guy you would have thought in that lineup when Whiteside. I mean, you would have thought of some other guys that he would give up the hit to. But tonight, just those 2 seeing-eye singles.
It's yanked foul, 2-2. And then when he beat the Dodgers in L.A. in 7 1/3 against that lineup, which has the highest home batting average in baseball, he gave up 6 hits.
Yeah, 3 of them to Andre Ethier, so that's not a bad guy to give him up to.
3-2. No, he's not the only guy to give up hits to Andre Ethier. Yeah, his last outing, the loss to the Cubs, it was almost, in quotations, a quality start. This ball is going to be a base hit. In that, in 5 2/3, Jim Tracy had to get him. He gave up 3 runs on 5 hits, struck out 6. His problem that day is he walked 5.
Yeah, season high 5 walks to 101 pitches during that time. So that's why Jim Tracy had to go get him.
Connor Jackson up there. What are Chacin's chances of staying with the club once De La Rosa returns? A question from Chris. Well, you know, that's not imminent. When it does happen, assuming everybody's healthy, you look at the young kid Chacin, you look at Jason Hamill, who's hitting out of the 5 or pitching out of the 5 slot right now. Those are the 2 guys that you look at if you're Jim Tracy in terms of when you have to make that move.
And if you do, you look at Jason Hamill has done it before where he's gone out to the bullpen and had some success out there. But that's still at least at minimum right now 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks away before you would have to make that decision. A lot of things can happen between now and then.
You know, when he does come back, we always talk about that time of year, moves that are made by contending teams to pick off a key player who's available from another club. This is lined to right center field. Hop is not going to get there. It's going to go to the wall. And around third comes Kelly Johnson. He gets a green light, and they may have, he'll be able to get back to second base. Connor Jackson was on his way to third. Varmus's throw would have had him. So it's a run scoring double. It's 3-1.
2 pitches now this inning that have been up in the zone. The first one to Kelly Johnson that he hit for a hanging breaking pitch to right field. Now this one to Connor Jackson, up and away from him. He drives it into the right center field gap. Johnson's going to score easily, and Kelly Johnson's going to score easily, and then Connor Jackson rounded second. But the way they had the double cut and everything set up, they held him to the double. Tracy, yeah, he's going to have to go get to the phone now and get some guys going out there.
Again, we talked about how dangerous a lineup it is, and even though the Rockies seemingly have dominated this ball game, Chacin's been terrific. The Rockies have a couple of long balls. It was only 3-0 starting the inning. Now it's a 2-run game, and you got tying run at the plate with nobody out. Stephen Drew. Finish the thought with De La Rosa when he does come back. You know, teams always looking for a lift that are in contention around the All-Star break. Rockies are going to get back a heck of a pitcher in De La Rosa at some point. They're going to get back a pretty good closer at some point. You hope in Houston Street. You're going to get back a pretty good setup guy in Taylor Buchholz in early June.
To me, that's the guy that's kind of lost in all of this shuffle because missing so much time last year. in Taylor Buchholz, coming back from Tommy John surgery. And he was one of the best setup guys there was in '08.
I thought the two best in the National League by far, and the numbers would support this: Carlos Marmol, who's now the closer with Chicago, and Taylor Buchholz. 1-1 on Drew. Ground ball right side. Drew does his job. He, at the very least, moves the runner with one out to third base, and that'll bring up Justin Upton.
I think fans upgrade your game experience in the newly renovated Mountain Ranch Club. Open the windows out there. Beautiful view here at Coors Field.
Upton has struck out twice. Chassin could get him here a third time. That'd be huge. Just inside.
I pitched Justin Upton the same exact way that you pitched in the first two times.
Ground ball deep in the hole. This will get the run home. And help with the scoop at first. And it's a 3-2 ball game for Justin Upton, his 24th RBI. Yeah, give Arizona credit. They got the double with nobody out, and they manufactured that run, the second run of that inning.
Well, and that's because of what Stephen Drew did. With a guy at second base, he just rolled over a ground ball to get the out at 4-3 to allow the guy behind him to drive in the run, and Justin Upton, instead of trying to do everything himself, end up popping up. You leave the guy at second base. Upton hits that ground ball. Who knows if it plays out the same? But you just try to kind of work your way back into the game.
If you get LaRoche here, you go to the bottom of the sixth in a 3-2 ball game. See how Jim Tracy plays it, but you have the opportunity. If you now move down in the lineup, you still would have to contend with Reynolds and Young, two guys that can hit the ball a long way, if you decided to go with Chassin one more inning.
Well, it depends on if he comes up next inning, because he's due a fourth. And if an opportunity arises where you can pinch hit somebody, I'd go ahead and pinch hit for him. He's closing in on 100 pitches. You've had the rest in the bullpen with yesterday off, so everybody's fresh here. It's lined up just the way you want it to be if you're Jim Tracy.
Managers often talk about, the first 5 innings are the players. That's way outside. 2-2. And what managers mean by that is they're going to sit back and they're going to watch unless something, really out of the ordinary happens, good or bad. And then they start to line up how the last 3 or 4 innings are going to go to give their team the best chance to win.
Well, it's managing that bullpen. To me, Jim Tracy's one of the top in the game as being one step ahead of the other manager as far as how do I want my bullpen to match up against their guys.
And trust me, trust us when we say, and if you're watching night in and night out, Jim Tracy is always going to put his team in the best possible position to win. He's going to have the right matchups in the bullpen. Might not always work out, but he's going to have the guys he wants. He never gets caught. Oh my goodness!
Oh,
man,
he's up.
This big lefty power hitter's up, and I don't have a lefty up in the bullpen. He always is thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. He's thinking 2, 3 innings ahead. He always is going to have the bat he wants to pinch hit.
He has a reason why he goes to that bullpen. The numbers might, let's say, this guy deserves to pitch here against these guys. It's not just throwing darts against the wall and seeing what sticks.
2-2. Swung on and missed. Chassin strikes out LaRoche, but in the inning, Arizona breaks the ice. They get a couple of runs. Kelly Johnson got it started with a single. Connor Jackson an RBI double. It's a 3-2 ball game, middle of 6 at Coors Field. take a look at our Coors Light freeze cam. Brad Hopp, he has a home run. He went down to get it. Looks like he's a little bit out front, but he's so strong. He drove it out of the ballpark over the auxiliary scoreboard. Troy Tulowitzki pulled the hands in a little bit. Well, that's a power position, isn't it?
Front straight leg, back bent leg, head down. Palm up, palm down.
Yeah, it looked pretty good, didn't it?
Sure did.
Our Coors Light freeze cam. Well, Chassin has given up a couple runs in 6 innings. Rockies up 3-2, and a new pitcher for Arizona, Esmerling Vasquez. And tonight's call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. The bullpen, in a word, for Arizona this year has been a disaster.
I was thinking a mess, but a disaster works.
Well, it's even past mess. It's a disaster. And here's why. As you look at Vasquez, has 13 appearances, an ERA close to 5.
245 batting average against. Vasquez fastball anywhere from 92 to 98 miles an hour. A little sink on it. Change up and slider as well.
1-2 on Olivo. Their bullpen ERA, Arizona's, is 7.61. That's last in baseball. 7.61. I mean, they've played 45 games.
It's not just that. Every once in a while, inflated ERA.
Now, get this. The 29th team were the second worst bullpen in baseball, owned by the Milwaukee Brewers. Their bullpen ERA is 6.03. Or more than a run and a half less than Arizona's, and 6.03. That's a mess.
That's a mess.
That's a mess. Arizona at 7.61 is a disaster. Strikeout of Miguel Olivo, 1 out here in the 6th. That'll bring up Ian Stewart.
Set up off the plate, right exactly where Chris Snyder wanted it. Southwest Sky Cam would see that line just towards the outside part of the black part of the plate.
And there's a base hit off the end of the bat for Ian Stewart. He's been on 3 times tonight. 2 hits and a walk. Here comes Clint Barmas. Carlos Gonzalez getting a helmet on, getting loose, jogging a little bit in the dugout. Ryan Spilborghs also has been around the bat rack. Chassin is scheduled to hit next, but he's not in the on-deck circle. Barmas at the plate, fly ball to center and a fly ball to right field.
Carlos has grabbed the bat. He's the one out there now.
It's kind of nice if you're a Jim Tracy and in the 6th inning you can go put up a 300 hitter with plenty of power and Carlos Gonzalez and know that you still have Giambi for late in the ball game.
Well, and then the other thing too is a way you can possibly double switch if Seth Smith comes up.
Hard on the ground to third. Reynolds a good pickup. There's run on the first double play. Now let's see if Cargo hits or not. We'll see it next inning, obviously. That's 3 outs. I can't count anymore. Got about Olivo striking out. 1, 2, 4. Let's go to break, huh? Give me a calculator. Rockies up 3-2. I know that much. hop. Got the Rockies on the board with his 4th home run of the year. And then in the 3rd inning, Troy Tulowitzki went deep. That's his 5th home run of the year, 4th in his last 5 ball games. He's got a 9-game hitting streak. In the 6th inning, Arizona would be able to counter. After a leadoff hit by Kelly Johnson, this double by Connor Jackson brought Johnson home. And then Justin Upton, an RBI ground out to get the Diamondbacks within a run. That's our Cooney Lexus look back. Cooney Lexus, where luxury has an address. Go see him in Littleton on Broadway. Matt Belisle's on to throw the 7th inning for the Rockies. He'll face Mark Reynolds, Chris Young, and Chris Snyder. 20th appearance for Belisle. He has been dominant.
He tossed a scoreless 1 1/3 inning up to get the hold Saturday in Kansas City.
Started Reynolds off with a breaking ball. It's 1-0. Mark tonight. A flare to second, and he fouled out to help. 2-0.
Careful here.
You know, he beat him with a fastball on 2-0, and it's a long run for Hop and for help. It's one of those situations that kind of surprises you. 2-0 fastball for a guy that's got to be sitting dead red, and he got beat with it.
They wanted to try to go away.
18.
Ball ran back in a little bit.
Yeah. Good movement, evidently. AT&T trivia question. Again, the Rocks turned 5 double plays on Sunday in Kansas City. Looking for the big league record for double plays turned in a 9-inning game. The answer is 7, and it's been done a couple of times. The Yankees and A's in 1942, and the Astros against the Giants in 69. Here's the 2-1. Fouled off 2-2. By the way, to clarify, the Yankees turned to 7 double plays, and the Astros turned to 7 double plays.
That's a lot of base runners.
Yeah. To third, hot shot, Stewart from his knees. How do you like that?
Good thing he was playing a little bit deeper. That ball was hit hard. Stewart guarding the line just a little bit. But here's what gets me is to be able to throw that hard, that far, that accurate from your knees. Spin on one knee, I got it, no problem. Throw him out by a couple steps.
You know, that's the version of watching a guy you used to play against. Remember Tony Pena? He'd throw from behind the plate from his knees. Pudge could do it and throw an absolute seed to second base. Well, that's the same thing. I mean, that's a long throw.
Pure arm strength.
Chris Young at the plate. That's in there. 0-1. And by the way, Stewart right now is 4th in the National League in fielding percentage among third basemen. Placido Polanco is 1st.
Yeah, for the Airs early on in the season, that's kind of quieted down a little bit now. Tulo's 1st in the National League in fielding percentage, total chances, put outs, all that.
There's the 1-1 on Young, and this ball line drive left field. Smith for the basket catch. Couple of nice defensive plays to begin the inning.
Now he was fighting also with that bank of lights that's right behind basically the Rockies dugout, kind of high a little bit. Connor Jackson, who made a spectacular run himself out in left center field off the bat of Brad Hopp, can appreciate that catch from Seth Smith. Not hit hard, so you have a depth perception problem, and then put in the lights on all of that. Tough sliding catch.
Here's Chris Snyder, and he takes a strike. Snyder hit into a 5-4-3 double play in the 2nd and walked in the 5th inning. By the way, the line for Chacín, 6 innings. He allowed Just the 2 runs on only 4 hits. He walked a pair and struck out 5. So a very, very solid outing for Yoli Chassin.
Well, a nice rebound from the previous 2.
And again, other than the 5 walks in Chicago, I don't think they were awful. Even going back to the Washington start, people may have heard me say this a couple times, but I think it bears repeating. He couldn't get Ryan Zimmerman out.
2 hanging sliders.
Right, and there were a couple of flare base hits that preceded a 3-run home run by Zimmerman, and then there was a 2-run home run later on. Other than that, he didn't pitch badly against Washington. This should be an easy play for Brad Hawk. A 1-2-3 inning. Little help from Ian Stewart, Seth Smith. 3-2 Colorado. Stretch time at Coors Field. Who do we got out there? Colorado Rockies baseball on FSN is brought to you by Yokohama. Technology drives better tires. By the Colorado Lottery, don't forget to play. And by Larry H. Miller Boulder Toyota, driven by you. Rockies up 3-2, bottom of the 7th inning, 9-1-2 in the order, and Jim Tracy wants to get 2 innings of work out of Matt Belisle, so he will swing the bat here in the bottom of the 7th. Esmerling Vasquez continues on. Last inning, he ended up with a 1-2-3 inning because of the double play. Did give up a base hit to Ian Stewart. Now the 7th inning is the Burger King Whopper inning. If the Rockies hit a home run during the 7th inning, Burger King will offer a free Whopper with the purchase of a large drink the following day between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. Great deal from Burger King. And Matt offered at it, so it's 1-2.
You might be wondering, okay, why does Jim Tracy still have Matt Belisle in there and didn't go to a pinch hitter? Well, he wants to try to force a hand of A.J. Hinch. He's going to send Matt Belisle back out there next inning and see who A.J. brings in. If he brings in his only lefty in Parra, then he could go to the bullpen and bring in Joe Beimel.
So Belisle is gone. And that'll bring up Seth Smith. It will also take us to Alana Rizzo. Hey, Alana.
Hey, guys. Thanks very much. Ian Kennedy goes 5 innings for the Diamondbacks and has made his way into their clubhouse. But Ian Stewart is not the only Ian Kennedy connection to the Colorado Rockies. Ian Kennedy was the first freshman to start as the #1 starter for the USC Trojans since Colorado's own Randy Flores did in 1994. Now, Flores is still USC's all-time wins leader with 42 and all-time complete games leader with 22. Now, he did start 3 games at the major league level, 2 back-to-back starts with the Colorado Rockies in his first time here in 2002. Both of those starts against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, of course, he has more innings in the pen, and he's one of our lefty specialists, and I talked to him about making that transition from such a successful college starter to a guy in the pen. I'll have more on that for you guys tomorrow. Drew and Jeff?
All right, Alana, thank you. 2 outs as Smith rolls one over to the right side. That'll bring up Dexter Fowler. Dexter's 0 for 3. Let's check another text message. Has there ever been a left-handed shortstop in the big leagues? If so, how many and who were they? Well, there haven't been many. The last guy, Dougie did a little research for us, Doug Marino, our stats guru. The last guy to play in a ball game in the field was in 1905. Doug, is that right? Hal Chase, of course.
He was smooth.
Very smooth. That's why they allowed him to do it, even though he was lefty. Now, 42 lefties have appeared in the big leagues at shortstop, but none since 56. But that's on a lineup card. So in other words, and here's how that happens. Lou Gehrig was once listed starting off a game at shortstop. The Yankees were on the road. So Gehrig hit the first inning, but he had a lower back strain, and they knew it going in. They wanted to get one at bat out of him. They wanted to keep the Iron Man streak alive.
And that was 5 years before it finally came to an end.
Right. And so Gehrig hit, listed as a shortstop, but never played defense at shortstop. There hasn't been a guy play defense as a lefty in a long, long time. The short-winded answer to your question. 3-2 as we go to the 8th. Rockies ahead. Here's exactly what you talked about. Rockies up 3-2. Bilal goes out, warms up. Public address announces Gerardo Parra to pinch hit. Jim Tracy goes out and takes the baseball, and he'll bring in Joe Bible. It forces the hand to A.J. Hinch. Parra has 2 at-bats this year against lefties. He's 0 for 2. We'll be back again.
All right, welcome back. Well, let's get back to the Breaks Plus Take a Break poll of the ball game, and that was Tex Rocks 1 for a straight bill or Rocks 2 for the curved bill. There's a straight bill from the Colorado Rockies hat.
Because younger guy.
Oh, but see, Cookie Monster. Okay.
Oh, you can wear the Cookie Monster straight or curved. I don't know about that guy.
That was a Quebec Nordique hat.
Yeah, Gerardo Parra has been called back, and Ryan Roberts, who was just called up when Tony Abreu had to go on the disabled list a couple of days ago. So Roberts is the pinch hitter. And again, Tracy knows exactly what's going to happen. He knows that you're going to have Parra hit against Beimel, which is not what A.J. Hinch wants. Or he has no problem, Beimel, who can get righties out, facing a guy like Roberts. One of the weaknesses, in addition to obviously, the bullpen for Arizona, is their bench depth. The one guy that you have concern about off the bench for Arizona is Gerardo Parra.
That's why Jim Tracy let Matt Belisle hit last inning, just as I said, because now it forces A.J. Hinch to burn 2 guys for 1 spot and 1 move.
And he also knows, following the 9-hole, 2 of the next 3 hitters at the top of the order hit from the left side.
Right.
Johnson and Stephen Drew hits in the 3-hole. Here's the 1-0 on Kelly Johnson, and he pops it up. So important to have quiet feet, isn't it?
Well, that was some agility because he turned one way, went the other way. It was like the old karaoke drill that we talk about in spring training or in football drills type of thing, where Troy had to go back in the way the wind was blowing, kind of blowing that ball all the way around. 20th appearance now on the season for Joe Beimel. And this guy has been electric all year long. Just gave up the 1 home run in his first appearance. Since then, just mowing the hitters down.
Connor Jackson, an RBI double in the 6th inning. And I'm sure some people at home are saying, that it's a curious move from a managerial standpoint that you have a 1-run lead. Why not go with the pinch hitter for Belisle last half inning and hope to add on because it's a 1-run game? Well, Jim Tracy's way of looking at it is he wants to put his best pitchers out there with a chance to get Arizona out, protect that 1-run lead. And you know what? You can't argue with it right now. Worked out beautifully. Time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. Scoreless game, 2nd inning. Brad Hopp at the plate. And he went down and got the splitter and hit it out. 4th home run of the year for Brad Hopp. Our Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. Rockies in the bottom of the 8th inning will have 3, 4, and 5. Hilton, Tulowitzki, and Hop against Aaron Heilman, the former Notre Dame star. And Heilman, in a bullpen devoid of lefties, is really their left-handed specialist, even though he throws to the right side, because he's handled lefties very well this year.
And that's part of the reason why he's been in that 8th inning role, sometimes the closer's role when Chad Qualls wasn't doing the job, because he is one of the guys that he can go out there and throw that sinking fastball, throw the changeup away to make sure that the lefties just don't tee off on that fastball or that hard slider.
Well, he's got a couple of singles tonight, 3 trips. Got a pitch up there, fouled off 1-1. Rockies would love to get a little insurance for Manuel Corpus. Lefties have hit 135 against Hyman. The off-speed pitch is down low, 2-1.
Coming to the May 28th game and receive Rockies rewards coupons. Game against the Dodgers.
Three and one on Hilton. And Tom's got another base hit. This replay brought to you by the Colorado Lottery. Here's the 3rd inning at bat for Troy Tulowitzki against Ian Kennedy. And Tulowitzki knocked it out of the ballpark. 5th home run of the year, 4th in the last 5 ball games. And from now until June 30th, replay any of your non-winning scratch tickets and a second chance drawing. Enter those tickets at coloradolottery.com. So a man on, nobody out. Tulowitzki at the plate, Hop on deck. It's in there for a strike.
This type of situation that Troy just really thrives in. A close ball game late in the game. Being able to expand that lead a little bit.
He got locked up there. Good pitch, 0-2.
The backup slider didn't do a whole lot, just kind of stayed there. And that's why you saw Troy back out just a little bit. Didn't go where he thought it was going to go. Try to bust him inside with the fastball.
1-2.
I like that from Greg Gibson. We could pick it up on our field mic. No, that ball was in.
Yeah. Did you like the umpires when they gave you a little description?
Sure, I liked it because that's what I thought it was as a hitter. If I didn't swing at it, if I was looking in.
Down in, 2.5 inches off the plate.
That's okay.
And this could be 2. There's 1 and out at first. 6-4-3 double play. I'll bring up Brad Hop. A reminder that if you have a windshield issue, call Safelite Elite Auto Glass. 303-287-5000. Check them out online at safelite.com. Now, Hop has squared up the ball 3 times tonight. One time he jogged around the bases. One time he watched Chris Young make a catch in the middle of the track in center field. And then he saw Connor Jackson run about 50 yards to deep left center field and make a tremendous running catch. And this will be a more conventional play for Chris Young. We will go to the 9th inning. The Rockies 3 and the Diamondbacks 2. Manuel Corpus will try to close it out. Back in lower downtown Denver. Drew Goodman, Jeff Houston, Alana Rizzo. Rockies looking for 3 more outs. They're up 3-2. Coming up the post-game report. Mark Stout will be in Captain Kirk's chair tonight.
Absolutely. The Cowboy is here too. We got a Cowboy theme. Go West, young man. Yee-hop. And yippee too low. We hope the Rocks can hang on. Post-game report coming up. Drew?
All right, Mark. We'll look forward to that. You want to give me the hee-haw again?
Hop.
He needed a hat, though. He needed to borrow a
Got the Cowboy here for that.
Well, I know, but you could have borrowed his hat.
Hop.
There you go. Carlos Gonzalez is in the ball game for the Rockies in right field. Seth Smith in left. Dexter Fowler in center. Here we go. Stephen Drew at the plate. Tough out. He's 0 for 3 tonight.
Stephen Drew in his career has faced Manuel Corpus a number of times. 4 for 16, a 1 home run.
And a ground ball, diving chance, and past Barmes. So the tying run is aboard. Corpus got the ground ball, but Drew found an opening on the right side. Today's game summary brought to you by Ecotech Institute in Denver, where you can make the world your workplace. Rockies got their 3 runs early on. The 2 runs for Arizona coming against Chacín in the 6th inning. Chacín pitched very well. 6 innings, just 4 hits. He punched out 5. Couple long balls. You've seen Hop and Tulowitzki. Stephen Drew at first. Justin Upton is 0 for 3. Though had an RBI ground out in the 6th. You can hit it as far as anybody in the game. Has hit into a team-leading 8 double plays this year. If the Rockies could select a menu item right now, that's what they would select.
I'd say for the second one of the ball game. They had one early in the game. Let's get another one late.
Corpus ahead 0-2. On Upton. They have LaRoche on deck. This lineup for Arizona is filled with punch outs, but it's also filled with guys that are not unfamiliar with trotting around the bases.
That's why Manuel has to hit his spots. We saw the first pitch slider, then he got the good movement location on that fastball. Now they're going to go off the plate just a little bit with the fastball, see if they can get Upton to swing at it.
Well, according to our 4th strike zone, that may have nipped the outside corner at the knees. It was close.
It's okay. You keep making your pitches out there. Eventually, you'll get the hitter to swing at it. Now you can go slider because you started a fastball there. See ya.
Ooh, where's that? That was in the strike zone. That clearly was in the 4th strike zone. It may have been so good Greg Gibson missed it.
Oh, and he flinched a little bit too. I mean, that even the Southwest Sky Cam looked like it might have been off, but where it crossed the plate, that was a strike. You can't miss those in the 9th inning.
Well, there was no verbal description on that.
Manuel in his last 7 ball games, 6 2/3 innings, given up just 3 hits, no walks, 3 punch outs.
Looking for his 4th save. Right-handed hitters have hit 111 against Corpus this year. 7 for 63. Drew decent speed at first, and this is line foul out of play. Well, fans, if you'd like to receive text message alerts when the Rockies score 7 or more runs for the Rockies Taco Special from Taco Bell, text the keyword taco to 95323. Feed your Rockies fever only at Taco Bell. Time to pace a little bit if you're a manager. Rockies up 3-2 in the 9th. Thick part of the order for Arizona. The 3-hole hitter reach, Stephen Drew. And now here's an all-star from last year, and you have Adam LaRoche on deck.
And Stephen Drew has pretty good speed once he's underway. He has 2 stolen bases this year, but he can get up and go.
pop up left side. Will it stay in play and foul ground is the question. It did. Nice play by Stewart. Right on the banister.
He knew where that fence was the whole time. He knew once he hit the dirt, between the grass and the dirt, that he had 3 steps, took a look, found the fence, reached over, used that hand as really a brace, his right hand, to make sure he could lean out just a little bit further and balance himself so he didn't flip over into the dugout.
And now that'll bring up LaRoche. He's a professional hitter, 7 home runs this year. .32 driven in. In there for a strike. LaRoche hitting .412 his last 9 games, including 3 home runs. 1-1.
Don't forget, Rockies dugout stores have everything you need to get geared up for this summer now that school's out. Stay away from LaRoche. Don't give him anything to pull.
That was
a mistake.
That was a mistake, because that's a pitch that he can hit out of the ballpark. It's off, it's in. And again, Corpus, when he's on, gets a number of ground balls. He's not really a strikeout pitcher. He's not a strikeout closer like so many are.
And the other thing, too, the way LaRoche stands so upright that he likes the ball up just a little bit more, because it allows him to get his hands through. If you can work the ball down into this area, right over in there, you'll get him to either roll over on the ball to a 4-6-3 double play, or if he does go get it, it's going to be a lazy fly ball.
A lot of room naturally in front of the Rockies outfield, playing very deep, trying to keep that runner at first from scoring on an extra base hit. Here's the 1-2, and that was in a good location.
Right underneath the hands, with a hard bite on that slider at 83 miles an hour.
Ninth innings, never easy. In tight ball games. 3-2 Colorado. Here's the 1-2. Houston Street, he understands better than anybody what Manuel Corpus is going through right now.
I like that shake off to the pitch that the pitcher wants to get to.
On the ground toward the hole, diving stop Barnes. He's going to get it out. Great play by Barnes. Of course, Drew does move to scoring position, but now there are 2 outs with Mark Reynolds coming up.
That ball was pulled in the hole. What a job and a jump from Clint Barnes. Dives, gets up, realizes he has a lot of time to make that play. But now with the runner at second base, you can back up a little bit. If you're an infielder, you can back up. Reynolds, you can play him into the hole just a little bit if you're Troy Tulowitzki. Give yourself just a little bit more range.
So one of the great home run hitters in the game, Mark Reynolds, 0 for 3 tonight. 11 home runs, 36 RBIs. Rockies looking for one more out. Drew at second base. Swung on and missed. It's 0-1.
Let's hope this trend continues, because tonight Arizona's 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. keep making quality pitches like Manuel just did right there, we're going to have success against the third baseman, Mark Reynolds.
Where's that?
This was just off the plate just a little bit. Overhead, that ball was just about 3 inches off the plate. I don't know how he didn't go after it, though.
Yeah, according to the Ford strike zone, it was right on the black. 2-1. To Colorado. 26 outs in the book. That's there. 2-2.
How about the movement on that ball? That ball came back over to that outside part of the plate. He started it off the plate exactly where Miguel wanted it. Strong wrist, held it.
You can't lift that ball. That's a bowling ball.
No.
That's a 92-mile-an-hour sinker.
And that's right where you want a guy to try to, if he's going to beat you, he's going to have to try to beat you there instead of something up into the zone.
2-2 with 2 outs. I was watching Manuel on the last sequence from Miguel Oliva. He shook him off 4 times. It's like, he didn't have 5 pitches.
Well, some of that might have been location, too.
Right.
He didn't want to go in, or he wanted to stay away. And sometimes you just do it to fool the hitter, too, to make him think, uh-oh, what's he going to now? He doesn't have that many pitches, and then you start to put doubt in their mind.
Strike 3, 4 game over. Locked him up with a 92-mile-an-hour sinker. And the Rockies beat Arizona 3-2. Terrific start to the 6-game homestand. And they move over 500 to 23 and 22. Yoli Chacin, the winner, he's 3-2. Ian Kennedy takes the loss. He's 3-3. And Manuel Corpus, his 4th save of the year. Tonight's delivery of the game brought to you by Jimmy John's. How about the last pitch of the ball game? Rocking up Mark Reynolds. Game, set, match to Colorado. Rockies win it 3-2. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Well played ball game. Smiles all around for the Rockies. It's a way to come home and get things done, especially after an off day. The player of the game is brought to you by Granger, for the ones who get it done. And tonight's player of the game is the starting pitcher, Yoli Chacin. 6 innings, he allowed only 4 hits, a couple of runs. It came in his last inning. And after walking the leadoff man of the game, he got control of the fastball and ends up only walking 1 more the rest of the way. Struck out 5. He has been impressive. The 22-year-old Venezuelan, our Granger player of the game. So the Rockies win it 3-2. 2 more ball games to come with Arizona. And for the Rockies tomorrow, they'll send their ace to the hill, Ubaldo Jimenez. Hey, don't go anywhere. The Rockies postgame report is up next right here on FSN.